don't know how to best explain this concept. I've forgotten what it entails. Maybe we should vote on who could do a better job explaining this. So that little intro that I just did actually explains the concept that this video is going to cover. The last three sentences that I said were actually sentences that contained question clauses inside of them. So I will demonstrate what these would be deconstructed. The first sentence was actually, how can I best explain this concept? I don't know. The second sentence was, what does this entail? I forgot. And the third sentence was actually, who could do a better job explaining this? Maybe we should vote on it. So notice that the three statements and then the way I deconstructed them as questions with answers, all of those contained questioning words. Who, what, where, when, why, how. So remember these question words and remember their Japanese counterparts. Dare, nani, doko, itsu, naze, do, dore, etc. And also just remember these sentences and their deconstructed versions of them to kind of help you internalize the concept of what it is we're talking about. All these sentences we're going to be constructing in Japanese are essentially a question and an answer, but it's just rewritten as a sentence that has a little question clause within it. So the cool thing about constructing these sorts of like sentences that have question clauses within them in Japanese is that in Japanese, it's actually a bit more logical. You start your sentence with a question and then you answer it pretty much. In English, you have to do this roundabout like, I don't know who the president is. You don't say, who is the president? I don't know. In Japanese, that's how you'd say it. You'd say, who is the president? I don't know, instead of, I don't know who the president is. So here's an example of a sentence entirely in Japanese that does this. 昨日、私の彼が誰と一緒にいたか知ってるよ. So look at this in two parts. You could look at it as part one is 昨日私の彼が誰と一緒にいたか? Question mark. End of sentence. And the next sentence would be 知ってるよ. So in Japanese, if you translate that, it's two separate parts. It's yesterday, who was with my boyfriend? Question mark. And then I know. Yo. I assure you, I know who it is. But then if you rewrite that into better English, it's I know who was with my boyfriend yesterday. Here's another sentence in Japanese that does this. 最近何を食べたいかよくわかんない. So again, look at this as two sentences deconstructed. 最近, comma, recently, 何を食べたいか, period. So recently, what do I want to eat? And then the second sentence is よくわかんない. Reminder that wakannai is just slang for wakaranai, which is I don't know. Yoku is like an adverb for good, goodly, well, basically in good English. So I don't really know. I don't know very well. So rewritten into proper English, it would be, I've had a hard time recently knowing what I want to eat. Here's another sentence. いつになったら日本に帰れるか? Fauci 先生に聞いてみましょう. So again, I even said it this time as if it were two separate sentences. So the first sentence is, いつになったら when 日本に帰れるか can I, we, you return, go back to Japan? Question mark. Fauci 先生, Dr. Fauci に聞いてみましょう. 聞いてみましょう, let's ask. So let's ask Dr. Fauci. So deconstructed, it's, I wonder when we can go back to Japan. Let's ask Dr. Fauci. But rewritten in good English, it's let's ask Dr. Fauci when we'll be able to go back to Japan. So are you starting to notice a trend here? How in Japanese, when you make these complete sentences with question clauses inside of them, it's always written in the question first and then the answer. But in English, it's kind of written answer first and then question. So again, I think actually the Japanese sentence order of this makes a little more sense than English. Here's another one. 結婚するかどうか二人で決めましょう. If you can look at this, as the question and then the answer, think of it that way. So now let's start with the second half of the sentence, the answer. 二人で決めましょう. Let's decide together. Let's decide what together? The first half of the sentence. 結婚するかどうか. Whether or not we get married. So the whole sentence is, let's decide together whether or not we get married. And here's one last sentence. 寿司がおいしすぎてどれにするか迷っちゃう. Again, we can look at the sentence in two parts, and let's look at the end of it first to start our sentence. 迷っちゃう. So 迷う is to be lost or to be at a loss, to be confused, to be unsure. 迷っちゃう, it's that 迷ってしまう, the てしまうending of a verb that means that it's unfortunate that this verb is happening, basically. So it is, unfortunately, I am at a loss. Why am I at a loss, unfortunately? 寿司がおいしすぎて Sushi is so delicious. どれにするか? Which one should I choose? So the sushi is so sinfully delicious that I can't decide which one to eat. So notice how I reworked that and rewrote that sentence back from the literal, the sushi is so sinfully delicious. Which one should I eat? I can't decide. I did the I can't decide, in this case, in the middle of the sentence. So it doesn't have to come at the end. It doesn't have to come at the beginning. You can kind of restructure the sentence however you want to have it make sense and flow and sound good. So what I'm basically saying is you get to decide where the verb in your sentence is. For timestamps for all the sentences we went over in this video, check the video description or the pinned comment at the top of the comment section, and also you will find links to other resources of places to learn Japanese besides me, because you better not be learning all of it from me. You want to learn from a variety of sources. And thank you to all the patrons on Patreon who support this series. You can sign up at my Patreon for as low as $1 a month, and you can get some bonus materials to learn Japanese. Check that out if you're interested. And be sure to tune in next week when we cover yasui and nikui. 頑張ってね